Have you ever felt like you were going crazy in a relationship? Like your reality was being twisted until you couldn't trust your own thoughts? What if I told you there's an actual playbook narcissists use, and once you see it, you can never be fooled again? Today, we're exposing every single manipulation tactic in the narcissist's arsenal. By the end of this video, you'll recognize these patterns instantly and know exactly how to protect yourself. This isn't just theory. This is your emotional survival guide. Let's start with the most dangerous tactic, because it's the one that makes you question everything you know about yourself. Tactic 1. Gaslighting. It isn't just lying. It's systematically making you doubt your own perception of reality. The term comes from a 1944 movie where a husband manipulates his wife into thinking she's losing her mind by dimming gas lights and denying it's happening. Here's how modern gaslighting works. You remember a conversation clearly. They said they'd pick up groceries. When you ask about it, they don't just say they forgot. They say, "I never said that. You're imagining things. You always twist my words." Notice the pattern? They're not just denying the event. They're attacking your memory, your perception, your sanity. The most insidious part? They mix truth with lies. They'll admit to small things while denying big ones. "Okay, maybe I was a little late, but I never yelled at you. You're being way too sensitive." Research from Dr. Stephanie Sarkis shows that gaslighting victims often develop anxiety, depression, and something called learned helplessness, where you stop trusting your own judgment entirely. The antidote to gaslighting is documentation. Keep a journal, save screenshots. Trust your gut when something feels off. Your reality is valid, even when someone tries to convince you otherwise. But gaslighting is just the opening move. Next comes the emotional roller coaster designed to keep you hooked. Tactic 2, love bombing. It feels like finding your soulmate. They shower you with attention, gifts, and promises of a perfect future together. They text you constantly, want to spend every moment with you, and make you feel like the most special person alive. Here's the trap. It's not love. It's a calculated strategy to create emotional dependency. Dr. Dale Archer explains that love bombing triggers the same brain chemicals as cocaine. The excessive attention floods your system with dopamine and oxytocin. You become literally addicted to their validation. They'll say things like, "I've never felt this way about anyone," or "You're perfect for me," within days of meeting you. Normal relationships build gradually. Love bombing is instant intensity. The red flags? They want to move extremely fast. They're available 24/7 initially. They mirror everything you say you want. If you love hiking, suddenly they're passionate about hiking too. But here's the cruel twist. Love bombing always ends. Once they feel they have you hooked, the attention gets turned off like a faucet. This creates what psychologists call intermittent reinforcement, the most addictive reward schedule known to psychology. You'll spend months chasing that initial high, wondering what you did wrong, trying to get back to those perfect early days. That's exactly what they want. The key to recognizing love bombing is the speed and intensity. Genuine love grows over time. Love bombing is instant and overwhelming. Speaking of overwhelming, let's talk about how they use your own emotions against you. Tactic 3, emotional manipulation. Narcissists are emotional archaeologists. They dig deep to find your vulnerabilities, then use them as weapons. They study what makes you tick, what hurts you, what you fear most. Maybe you mentioned your fear of abandonment from childhood. Later, during an argument, they'll threaten to leave. "Maybe we should just break up. I can't deal with this anymore." They're not actually leaving. They're pushing your panic button. Or perhaps you shared your insecurity about your appearance. Suddenly, they're making subtle comments. "That dress is interesting," with a slight pause that makes you question everything. The manipulation often comes disguised as concern. "I'm just worried about you. You seem really stressed lately. Maybe you should see someone about your anxiety." They're not concerned. They're planting seeds of self-doubt. They also use what Dr. Susan Forward calls emotional blackmail. They make you responsible for their feelings. "You're making me so upset. I can't eat. I can't sleep. How can you do this to someone who loves you?" The most sophisticated manipulators use your strengths against you. If you're empathetic, they'll play the victim. If you're responsible, they'll make everything your fault. If you're loyal, they'll use your commitment to trap you. Here's how to protect yourself. Recognize that your emotions are being used as tools. When someone consistently makes you feel guilty, confused, or responsible for their emotional state, that's manipulation. But emotional manipulation is just the setup for the real control mechanism, making you completely dependent on their approval. Tactic 4. Triangulation. Triangulation is bringing a third person into your relationship to create jealousy, competition, and insecurity. It's one of the most effective control tactics because it hijacks your natural fear of being replaced. They might constantly mention their ex. Sarah always understood my work stress, they'll say when you're trying to discuss a problem. Or they'll bring up a coworker. Jessica thinks I should leave you. She says you don't appreciate me. Sometimes the third person doesn't even exist. They'll create fictional admirers. This woman at the coffee shop was totally flirting with me today. She gave me her number, but don't worry, I threw it away. Now you're grateful they didn't cheat, instead of questioning why they told you this story at all. The goal isn't actually to make you jealous. It's to make you compete for their attention. When you're worried about losing them, you'll work harder to please them. You'll accept treatment you normally wouldn't tolerate. Dr. Craig Malkin's research shows that triangulation creates what he calls competitive attachment. You become so focused on winning their love that you lose sight of whether they're actually good for you. They might also triangulate with family members. Your sister thinks you're too controlling, or, my mom says you're not good enough for me. They're isolating you from your support system while making you feel inadequate. The antidote to triangulation is recognizing that healthy relationships don't involve constant comparisons to other people. If someone is always bringing up others to make you feel insecure, they're manipulating you. If you're finding this helpful so far, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. We're just getting started, and you don't want to miss the advanced tactics coming up. Now let's talk about how they systematically destroy your self-worth. Tactic 5. Devaluation. After love bombing comes devaluation, the systematic destruction of your self-esteem. It doesn't happen overnight. It's a slow drip of criticism, contempt, and conditional love that gradually erodes your sense of worth. It starts subtly. You look tired today, or that joke wasn't really funny. Small comments that make you second-guess yourself. You might think they're just being honest or trying to help you improve. But the comments increase in frequency and intensity. You're so sensitive becomes you're too emotional, which becomes you're unstable. They're not describing you. They're programming you to see yourself through their distorted lens. They use what psychologists call intermittent reinforcement during this phase. Sometimes they're loving and kind, which makes the criticism hit even harder. You start walking on eggshells, trying to figure out which version of them you'll get today. The devaluation often targets your core identity. If you're proud of being intelligent, they'll call you stupid. If you value being kind, they'll say you're weak. They're not just criticizing your behavior, they're attacking who you are. Dr. Ramani Durvasula explains that devaluation serves multiple purposes. It makes you more compliant because you're constantly trying to earn back their approval. It isolates you because you're too ashamed to tell others how you're being treated. And it creates trauma bonding. You become addicted to the rare moments of kindness. The most insidious part? They convince you that you deserve this treatment. I only criticize you because I love you and want you to be better. They frame abuse as care. Here's the truth. Someone who truly loves you doesn't systematically tear down your self-esteem. Healthy relationships build you up, even during conflicts. But devaluation is just preparation for the ultimate control tactic, making you believe you can't survive without them. Tactic 6. Isolation. It doesn't happen with locked doors and barred windows. It happens with subtle suggestions, manufactured conflicts, and gradual separation from everyone who cares about you. It starts with your closest relationships. Your best friend seems jealous of our relationship, or your family doesn't really understand you like I do. They plant seeds of doubt about the people who love you most. They create conflicts at social events. They'll be charming to your friends' faces, then criticize them privately. Did you notice how condescending Jake was tonight? I don't think he respects you. Gradually, you start avoiding social situations to prevent these uncomfortable conversations. They monopolize your time. They want to spend every free moment together, which sounds romantic until you realize you haven't seen your friends in months. When you try to make plans with others, They create emergencies or emotional crises that require your immediate attention. Financial isolation is another tactic. They might encourage you to quit your job, or they'll sabotage your work relationships. You don't need that stressful job. I can take care of us. Suddenly, you're financially dependent and can't leave even if you want to. Dr. Judith Lewis Herman's research on psychological captivity shows that isolation is one of the most effective forms of control. When you have no outside perspective, their version of reality becomes your only reality. They also isolate you from yourself. They discourage your hobbies, your goals, your individual interests. Why do you need to go to that art class? Isn't spending time with me enough? Slowly, you lose touch with who you were before them. The goal is to make you completely dependent on them for social connection, financial security, and emotional validation. When they're your only source of everything, leaving becomes unthinkable. But isolation is just the foundation for the most devastating tactic of all. Tactic 7. Projection. Projection is when they accuse you of exactly what they're doing to you. It's psychological warfare disguised as relationship conflict. If they're cheating, they'll accuse you of being unfaithful. You're always texting someone. Who are you talking to? I don't trust you. Meanwhile, they're the ones having affairs. If they're lying, they'll call you dishonest. You're always hiding things from me. I can't believe anything you say. They're describing their own behavior while making you defend your integrity. If they're manipulative, they'll accuse you of manipulation. You're trying to control me. You're so manipulative. The irony would be funny if it weren't so damaging. Dr. George Simon explains that projection serves multiple purposes. It deflects attention from their behavior. It puts you on the defensive. And it creates confusion about who's actually the problem in the relationship. The most sophisticated projectors will take your legitimate complaints and flip them. You say, "You never listen to me." They respond, "You're the one who never listens. You're always interrupting me." Suddenly, you're defending yourself instead of addressing the original issue. They also project their emotions onto you. "You seem angry," they'll say when they're the ones who are furious. "You're being paranoid," when you're actually picking up on their deceptive behavior. The goal is to make you question your own perceptions and take responsibility for their actions. When everything becomes your fault, they never have to change. Here's how to recognize projection. If someone consistently accuses you of things you know you're not doing, especially things that describe their behavior perfectly, you're dealing with projection. But projection is just one tool in their arsenal of reality distortion. Let's talk about how they rewrite history itself. Tactic 8. Rewriting history. Narcissists don't just lie about the present. They systematically rewrite the past to serve their current narrative. They're like editors of your shared history, constantly revising the story to make themselves look better and you look worse. You had a fight last week where they screamed at you for an hour. This week, when you bring it up, they say, "I never screamed. We had a calm discussion, and you got upset for no reason." They're not just denying their behavior, they're rewriting the entire event. They minimize their actions. "I didn't yell. I just raised my voice a little because you weren't listening." Or they justify them. "I only got upset because you were being so unreasonable." The goal is to make their abusive behavior seem normal or deserved. They also rewrite positive memories. That romantic vacation you took together? You complained the whole time. "I tried to make it nice, but you were never satisfied." They're stealing your happy memories and replacing them with their distorted version. Dr. Jennifer Freed's research on betrayal trauma shows that this historical revision creates what she calls betrayal blindness. You start doubting your own memories to preserve the relationship. They use selective memory strategically. They remember every small mistake you've ever made but conveniently forget their major transgressions. "You're always bringing up the past," they'll say when you mention their pattern of behavior, while simultaneously bringing up something you did wrong months ago. The most damaging part is how they rewrite your character. "You've always been jealous," or "You've never been supportive." They're not describing who you are. They're creating a false narrative that justifies their treatment of you. The antidote is documentation. Keep a journal. Save text messages. Trust your memory, especially when someone is trying to convince you it's wrong. But rewriting history is just preparation for the ultimate manipulation, making you grateful for crumbs. Tactic 9. Intermittent reinforcement. This is the most powerful manipulation tactic because it literally rewires your brain. Intermittent reinforcement is when rewards come unpredictably, creating an addiction stronger than any drug. Think about slot machines. You don't win every time you pull the lever. That would be boring. You win just often enough to keep playing, never knowing when the next reward is coming. That unpredictability creates compulsive behavior. Narcissists use the same principle with affection and approval. After weeks of criticism and coldness, they'll suddenly be loving and attentive. They'll bring you flowers, tell you they love you, or plan a romantic evening. Your brain floods with relief and gratitude. But the kindness doesn't last. Soon, they're back to being critical and distant. Now you're chasing that high, trying to figure out what you did right so you can do it again. Dr. Anna Salter's research shows that intermittent reinforcement creates stronger psychological bonds than consistent positive treatment. The unpredictability keeps you hooked, always hoping for the next moment of kindness. They time these rewards strategically. Just when you're about to leave or set a boundary, they become wonderful again. I know I've been difficult lately. I love you so much. Let me make it up to you. You think they're changing, so you stay. The trauma bonding this creates is incredibly powerful. You become addicted to their approval because it's so rare and unpredictable. You start believing that their occasional kindness is proof of their love, rather than recognizing it as manipulation. The key to breaking free is recognizing that love shouldn't be a slot machine. Healthy relationships provide consistent care and respect, not unpredictable rewards mixed with punishment. But intermittent reinforcement is just one part of a larger system designed to keep you trapped. Let's talk about how they make leaving seem impossible. Tactic 10. The discard and hoover cycle. The discard phase is when they suddenly end the relationship, often without warning or explanation. After months or years of devaluation, they simply disappear or brutally reject you. I never loved you. Or, I found someone better. This isn't actually the end. It's another manipulation tactic. The discard serves multiple purposes. It punishes you for any recent resistance or boundary setting. It makes you desperate to win them back. And it sets up the next phase. Hoovering. Hoovering is named after the vacuum cleaner brand because they're trying to suck you back in. Just when you're starting to heal and move on, they reappear with apologies, promises, and declarations of love. I made a terrible mistake. You're the only one who ever understood me. I can't live without you. They might send flowers, write long letters, or show up at your workplace. They're love bombing you all over again. Dr. Lundy Bancroft explains that the discard and hoover cycle creates what he calls learned helplessness. You never know if they're coming or going, so you remain in a constant state of emotional readiness for their return. The cycle often repeats multiple times. Each time, they promise they've changed. Each time, you hope it's real. But the pattern remains the same. Love bombing, devaluation, discard, hoover, repeat. The most insidious part is how they use your own healing against you. They wait until you're feeling stronger, then reappear to test your resolve. If you take them back, they know they still have control. If you don't, they might escalate to stalking or harassment. Breaking the cycle requires recognizing that their returns aren't about love. They're about control. Someone who truly loves you doesn't repeatedly abandon and reclaim you like a possession. But understanding the cycle is just the beginning. Let's talk about how to protect yourself from all these tactics. Now that you know the playbook, here's how to protect yourself. Think of this as your emotional immune system. Once you develop it, you become resistant to manipulation. First, trust your gut. Your intuition is your early warning system. If something feels off, it probably is. Manipulators count on you dismissing your instincts in favor of their explanations. Second, maintain your outside relationships. Isolation is their most powerful tool, so connection is your strongest defense. Keep in touch with friends and family, even when it's difficult. Their perspective is invaluable. Third, document everything. Keep a journal of conversations and incidents. Save text messages and emails. When someone is trying to rewrite history, documentation is your anchor to reality. Fourth, set and maintain boundaries. Decide what behavior you will and won't accept, then stick to it. Manipulators will test your boundaries constantly. Consistency is key. Fifth, educate yourself. The more you understand about manipulation tactics, the harder it becomes to fool you. Knowledge is power, and awareness is protection. Sixth, practice self-care. Manipulation is exhausting. Make sure you're eating well, sleeping enough, and engaging in activities that restore your energy and sense of self. Finally, don't try to change them. You cannot love someone into being healthy. You cannot argue someone out of being manipulative. Your energy is better spent protecting yourself than trying to fix them. Remember, recognizing these tactics doesn't make you paranoid. It makes you informed. Healthy people don't use these strategies. If someone in your life consistently employs these tactics, that tells you everything you need to know about their character. If you've been the target of narcissistic manipulation, recovery is possible, but it takes time and intentional effort. Your sense of reality has been systematically distorted, and rebuilding it is a process. Start by reconnecting with yourself. Manipulation works by disconnecting you from your own thoughts, feelings, and perceptions. Spend time alone, without distractions, just listening to your inner voice. Journaling is incredibly powerful for recovery. Write about your experiences without censoring yourself. Don't worry about being fair to your manipulator. Worry about being honest about your experience. Seek professional help if possible. Therapists trained in narcissistic abuse can help you process what happened and develop healthy relationship patterns. You don't have to heal alone. Rebuild your support network. Manipulation often isolates you from people who care about you. Reach out to old friends, join new groups, and gradually expand your social circle. Practice saying no. Manipulation works by overriding your boundaries. Learning to say no and mean it is essential for preventing future manipulation. Be patient with yourself. Recovery isn't linear. You might have good days and bad days. You might doubt yourself or feel tempted to return to the manipulator. This is normal and doesn't mean you're weak. Learn to recognize red flags early. Now that you know the tactics, you can spot them in future relationships. Trust your instincts when someone seems too good to be true, or when your gut tells you something is wrong. Most importantly, remember that what happened to you wasn't your fault. Manipulators are skilled at what they do. Being targeted does not mean you're weak or stupid. It often means you have qualities they wanted to exploit, like empathy, loyalty, or kindness. Here's what every survivor needs to understand. Narcissistic manipulation isn't about love, relationships, or even personal conflict. It's about power and control. The person manipulating you isn't trying to build a relationship. They're trying to own you. Every tactic we've discussed serves the same ultimate goal, making you completely dependent on them for your sense of reality, self-worth, and emotional stability. When they control how you see yourself in the world, they control you. But here's the empowering truth. Once you see the tactics clearly, they lose their power. Manipulation works in darkness, through confusion and self-doubt. Shine light on it, and it withers. You are not crazy. Your feelings are valid. Your perceptions matter. Your reality is real, even when someone tries to convince you otherwise. The person who manipulated you wants you to believe you can't survive without them. The truth is, you not only can survive, you can thrive. Many survivors report that leaving a manipulative relationship was the beginning of the best chapter of their lives. If this video helped you understand what you've been experiencing, please subscribe to this channel and hit the notification bell. Share this with someone who might need to see it. Your story matters, your healing matters, and you deserve relationships built on respect, not manipulation. Remember, knowledge is power, awareness is protection, and you are stronger than you know. The tactics that once controlled you can never work again once you truly understand them. You've got this. Your freedom is waiting.